You know, guys, I've been thinking. I don't know what to do. I wonder if I made the worst decision by quitting something that was such a big part of my life. It felt drastic. Earlier this year, I made the decision to quit scrapbooking. My heart wasn't in it anymore, and it really felt like a loss. But now I know I'm in the right path. I'm in the next part of my artistic journey, and that makes me really happy. And I know what you're thinking. But honestly, I'm not a hoarder. What am I supposed to do? Just throw it all away? What should I do with all these papers? If I don't use them, that's a lot of money wasted. But I thought to myself, wait a minute, Keren, you can definitely use these papers in your artwork. Want to know how? Let me show you 8 different ways. The first technique is creating layers of texture as a base for your projects. There are many ways you can use the papers to achieve different pattern texture. Here are 3 of my favorite ways to do that. The first one would be to cut the paper into shapes, like rectangles, triangles, or circles. It doesn't really matter what shape you cut them in. You can glue them on the surface, like I'm doing in this canvas class I taught my YouTube members. I cut mine in triangles and glued them like a mosaic onto the background. Most of it gets covered, but you see the pattern design as texture layer after you finish the project. The second way you can use paper is to cut it into paper strips with a trimmer or scissors. If you really want to get a grungier look, you can rip the paper. To glue these, use any type of soft gel medium. I prefer matte over glossy finish. You can fill the whole background with the pattern paper or just add them in certain places. You can create a design with them or overlap them. I'm creating a vertical design to create motion on my page. Once you're done gluing, you can dry it really well. This is a very important part. Then you have the choice of covering the patterns or leaving some of the designs to incorporate into the project. The nice thing about scrapbooking paper is that they have beautiful patterns that you can incorporate into your artwork. I'm choosing to cover some areas while leaving some of the designs exposed, as they're so beautiful and bring so much character into the project. I give it a heavy coat of white gesso to the areas I want to cover, and add watered down gesso to the design patterns I want to leave showing through. This is called a whitewash. Before I show you more ways to use your paper stash in your art projects, I want to add some stenciling, stamping, and color to my background, as it is a huge part of creating texture. As I do this, it reminds me of all those amazing pattern papers I bought over the years and how much I love their texture. I remember the first time I laid eyes on beautiful scrapbooking pattern paper. It's 2003 and I just recently started scrapbooking. I walked into a nearby scrapbook store for the first time, and I'm in awe. I'm standing in a large room filled with several aisles of paper. Stacks, rows and rows, as far as the eye can see. There is stacks of pattern paper and stacks of solid color paper, which I later find out is called cardstock. I start walking through the aisles, admiring the beautiful papers, touching them, as I can't believe how thick they are and how well the patterns coordinate together. When I look around, I see lots of women chatting, everybody's happy, a sense of community is born and is still very much alive in me today. There is scrapbookers and card makers. This is paper crafting heaven for me. I start filling my basket with papers of all kinds. I can't help myself. I want to buy all the coordinating papers, as it's so hard to choose. After an hour with a full basket, the cashier starts to add up my purchase. I can't believe my eyes when she tells me I owe her $150. How can that be? It's just paper. But I say to myself, it's okay, Keren, this will last you for at least 6 months. Little did I know that I would be back a week later to purchase even more stuff. The addiction started early on and it was real. Not only did the papers last me for 6 months, but they lasted me for 6 years, probably more. Fast forward 17 years later to 2020, and here I am with more paper than I'll ever need. And here's a secret. Shh, don't tell anyone, because Truthfully, I don't want anybody to find out how much I spent over the years. I'm embarrassed to say, so just keep this between me and you. Even after donating so many paper crafts to old age homes, teachers, giving out to my friends, and even selling some, I still have so much paper that I could open up a whole scrapbook store for myself. Because each collection didn't only carry papers, it also carried coordinating embellishments, which were really easy to use on my scrapbook layouts. Nowadays, I use those embellishments to create in my vintage art journal book. The beauty of this journal is I was able to incorporate old papers and embellishments. This was a perfect solution as I could work on a smaller surface and not add more layouts to the amount of boxes I already have collecting dust. However, if you don't have coordinating scrapbooking embellishments, you can easily create them with your leftover paper. The first one is to fussy cut objects out of your own papers, like butterflies, leaves, and you can incorporate them as background or focal points in your art journal or in your canvases. So many papers have beautiful designs you could cut out. The second way is to cut the papers into shaped objects. You can cut hearts, butterflies, houses, or even bottles like I did in this journal class. You can draw them freehand or trace them, whatever is easier. For this project, I am cutting leaf shapes that I can turn into trees or flowers. You can glue them to the background and outline them, and then add all the different texture around them. By using my own stash of paper, I'm really enjoying the possibility that I can create any shapes that I want with any papers that I want, and I can really use that and not throw so many papers. One of the main keys with art journaling is that you can learn to express yourself by using things that are available to you, like I did today with my old scrapbooking papers. I can outline the shapes, create lines for my trees, and even add some stamping that really adds to the texture and general idea on how to finish up a page. All these things together really create a beautiful finished project. Not only does it not take a lot of space and helps me with my hoarding, but it also helps me explore and experiment with new ideas and really express myself in my art because I really love doing it. Another example, if you don't want to draw, is to die cut your papers. Of course, you need a die cutting machine for this. You can die cut stars, circles, trees, clocks, basically any shape, and incorporate them into your project. And to add to that idea, you can also die cut sentiments. If you're a card maker or scrapbooker, you might already own many sentiment dies. You can easily use scrapbook paper or cardstock to cut a title for your project. Then you can just glue it onto your page. These tips will help you dive into your paper stash and transition you from paper crafting into the world of art journaling and mixed media. But if you want to explore and expand your knowledge and find the confidence to create, I put together a short playlist for you right here. I'll meet you right there.